welcome to Public Global. I'm Neelu Vyas. Known for sending shivers down the corporate giants to their core and claiming to uncover billions in alleged frauds, Nate Anderson, the man behind Hindenburg Research, has decided to close the curtains on his short selling saga. From triggering $150 billion storm in Adani Group shares to taking down titans like Nikola and Eros International, Hindenburg was synonymous with financial accountability or controversy, depending on which side you are on. Now, what exactly he said in a note which he has sent to his family members and employees, and I'm just going to quote a little bit because it's a long note, a very emotional one if you look at it very carefully. He said that as I have shared with family, friends, and our team since late last year, I have made the decision to disband Hindenburg Research. And he says that there is no external threat, no personal and health issue, or any other pressing matter forcing this move. Instead, he described it as a natural conclusion to a chapter of his life. But there are several questions emanating out of this particular episode where Nate Anderson has officially announced that he's going to shut shop the Hindenburg. Now, the first question which comes to mind is that was he under pressure? Is he not wanting to divulge that pressure? Because this particular incident comes just 5 days before Donald Trump is to swear in as the 47th president of United States of America. The other question, if you look at the social media and the manner in which the BJP right-wing trollers and the BJP spokespersons, the Adani bucks, are reacting, they are celebrating the moment. They are targeting Rahul Gandhi that, look, this was your alliance partner and its shop has been shut. So these are the kind of reactions which are quite visible on the social media. Is it some kind of a moral bankruptcy which is being shown? And the biggest question, why was Modi and Adani not able to buy over Hindenburg? Is this the biggest slap on Adani and the Modi government as well? We'll try and analyze all these questions and find out answers to this. Joining me now is Supreme Court lawyer and activist Arun Agarwal. Thank you so much, Mr. Agarwal, for joining on Public Global. My first question to you, that how would you really react to the fact that this was in the pipeline? Nate Anderson has very clearly said that this was on his mind, that after he finishes all the investigative projects, he's going to close down the operations. But would you dismiss any kind of pressure coming as it does just 5 days before Donald Trump is to swear in as the 47th president?
Thank you, Niluji, and greetings to you and your viewers. See, it may be a coincidence that it's coming 5 days earlier. It may also be that a person doesn't want to work in an adversarial type of atmosphere. And he says, enough is enough. I have my life to live. I made enough money to devote my time to my family, my wife, my friends, and the hobbies that I had put on the back burner. After all, people in this country have a retirement age, 58, 60, 62, or 65, as the case may be, in the case of Supreme Court judges, which stretches beyond 65 when they get an office of profit after retirement for the judgments which have been delivered earlier. Those are all very different things. But here was a person who says that I had nothing left in the pipeline, meaning thereby that they had consciously taken a decision much earlier that they are not going to take up fresh matters. Now, if you will see, if a doctor is going on a holiday and if some new patient comes, he says, please don't come to me because I am not going to be available for the next 15 days. So you start winding up much prior to your termination or to your winding up your assignment or going on a holiday. So this was no different. There is a ring of truth about it. In no way they could have ever bought him, nor was he for sale, nor did they attempt to do so. As far as the celebration is concerned, they should have celebrated 1.5 years back, because after 23, Hindenburg did not make any fresh revelation about Adani. He did make hard-hitting and reputation damaging the reputation of Sebi and Madhvi Buch forever, which was done when they sent him a notice and he retaliated. And he showed how she was virtually investing in Adani companies and had conflicts of interest, running two companies in which she was earning money. And then rest of the skeletons stumbled after that, when Congress started making revelation as to how corporates were buying judgments, and they were tenants of Madhvi Buch, and how her husband had earned crores in consultancy through various companies. So Hindenburg's role was over in 2023, much as they would like to celebrate. I mean, they celebrate they have very little to celebrate. So they celebrate Sarwakar as the only person who did something in the freedom movement,
But
be it
Arun,
a
right.
turncoat. So,
Right, but Mr.
this
Agarwal,
is
what is the biggest takeaway from this particular incident where the Hindenburg, which was a research and an investment firm, has shut down its operations? But Nate Anderson also in his note says that he will try and reveal his model, under which he was working. He will try and explain to people that what kind of operations he was involved in, how he was doing it, and he's also waiting for a day where others will adopt this model and expose bigger frauds. He also said in that emotional note that I'm waiting for a day, when I get a call from a person who adopts my model and exposes bigger frauds. So, what does this really go to show? Is this some kind of a reason by which the corporates, by which people, I mean, like Modi government might get scared, or all the dispensations which are involving in some kind of a fraud, which means that it is not the end of the whistleblowing era?
No, in a way, what he is trying to say and convey to others is this: that he certainly, he when he started, he built up his team. He disclosed that he would be a researcher and he would be short selling shares, meaning thereby that he would find out companies who were indulging in frauds or making misstatement and giving wrong misleading statements, and he would expose those statements. And before doing so, he had a duty to disclose, which he did, that I will be short selling shares. This is just the reverse of what is the normal practice, that people research and they find good shares and they invest in those shares and make money and tell others that I have invested, and then they make money. So it was his reverse model. Except the difference is that these people who come across bad companies, they don't research and say, I came across this bad company and hence I did not invest. Whereas he just did the opposite and he made it a business. And I made it a very successful business. More so, he prevented other investors. You see, it is
Right.
not the job of the regulator alone to unearth all this and do research. So he prevented other investors from falling into the trap of all these bad companies, or companies which were not following the law or the disclosure norms, and exposing them. So having done that, and then realized that he was doing a public service also while earning money, he has tried to keep that door open of the public service by saying that I will reveal my model of how to do things, and those who have a passion and who are interested can similarly emulate. And I will look forward to the day when somebody rings me up and says it was due to this that I was able to make this revelation,
Absolutely.
which
In
is
the
the dream of every mentor.
Right.
A professor hopes that his student will earn a Nobel Prize, which he
Absolutely.
does. So,
If you look,
I mean, nothing
if you
wrong
look
with
at his
it.
note, yeah, if you look at his note very carefully, which he has written to his family and friends, in the very beginning, and in fact in the first two paragraphs, he mentions that he's prepared for a negative fallout where people would talk negative about him, and so is what is happening. What we are seeing in the manner in which the celebrations and rejoicing is happening on social media. Shehzad Poonawala went on to the extent of saying that Hindenburg was an organization which brought in economic anarchy. They were involved in economic terrorism. That's the extent to which they are leveling allegations. So, what would you really say? And this negative fallout, I'm sure if it is being done in India, it'll be done elsewhere as well, wherever, in whichever countries, the frauds have been exposed by Hindenburg. So, how will this negative fallout now manifest for Nate Anderson and the Hindenburg in entirety?
No, you see, Hindenburg did not make any fresh allegations. He just collected material that was in public domain. And in some cases, he gave them credit, like he gave credit to Pranjoy Thakurta for all the work that they had done. And he consolidated them and he presented in a manner which made it a good story to read. And it was a very readable story. And that is why people read it. All these, there were a lot of other people who were doing work. I mean, there were material of ED, of money, manifold being money laundered and being over invoicing, all that was in public domain. So these were not discovered by him, except he made it presentable. So to that extent, and the other thing is that he has got nothing to do with the order of the Swiss High Court, in which money, millions of money has been impounded. He has nothing to do with Adani's shenanigans in Kenya, in Bangladesh, and maybe in Sri Lanka, or even in Australia. What Sajad Poonawalla doesn't realize, and the country does not realize, that the immense harm that has been done to the infrastructure development of the in the country, it has to be foreign funded. Adani tried to fund his solar power, 11 gigawatt, through the American debt market by going for a credit note of something like $175 million, in which he was caught taking bribes. So now he doesn't have money. Foreigners are not going to invest in this type of Adani model of give, bribe, and develop infrastructure. Then where is the money going to come from, the infrastructure? Is Mr. Poonawalla going to provide it? Does he have a bank? He is not a dollar wala, he is Poonawalla. So
no, but the
the
very
point is,
celebration and rejoicing, does it show moral bankruptcy on the part
it
of all the
shows
Modi?
it shows immaturity, and the fact that, which goes on as a saying, that make fools of a bhakt and make bhakt a fool. That is what is happening. If somebody is foolish enough, that is how he is going to speak. It shows his mental caliber, or he has got a quid pro to profit from being parroting the line of Adani and saying it in fanciful words and economic terrorism, this, that. Does he know the meaning of economic terrorism? If at all economic terrorism is there in the country, it is crony capitalism, to which he
Right,
has to which he has nothing to say. So we
right,
do not. I mean, see, Hindenburg did a great thing. First, he took out the fear from the Indian journalist, from the Indian media. He had instilled fear from top to bottom, and he could take out people who enjoyed vast majority popularity in the country, like Ravish Kumar, by simply buying up the company and leaving him in the cold on the streets. He could threaten you, and he could institute criminal and civil defamation cases of thousands of hundreds of crores, so
right.
that you could not speak to him. Hindenburg took out that fear. That was one. Second, after his revelation, the SEBI as a regulator got exposed. Madhvi Buch as a chairman of SEBI got exposed. And I dare say that even the Supreme Court and the committee that it nominated also got exposed, because all of them were collectively found to be covering up for Adani. Why covering up? Because then all the other shenanigans in the foreign countries, like in Switzerland, like in America, in the courts, they started coming out. Their courts were doing a far better job than our courts were doing. So they were exposing the crony capitalism, whereas our courts were engaged in forming committees which would give a clean check. Kamath was a person who had employed Madhvi Buch and given her handsome ESOPs.
Right.
So
What I don't understand, Mr. Agarwal, is that, the Adani's shares, if you look at, and since morning when the news has broken, we see a constant rallying of the Adani stocks. Look at Adani Power; it has surged like over 9%. And so why do we see this kind of a bounce in the share market as far as Adani's shares are concerned?
see, Adani is desperate for money, and the only way he can get money is to raise the price of his shares. So who knows that 15,000 crores that he has generated by selling Wilmar is taking a round tripping in India itself, when he could do round tripping from abroad. And who knows that some of these investment fund managers have who were not buying his shares earlier are buying now in spite of the
Right.
ECG norms, and who are not on their payroll. So all these things, possibility is there. That is for SEBI to inquire why they are going up.
No, but
Anyway, they were
SEBI
high.
reasons, Mr. Agarwal, SEBI, for all reasons, wouldn't inquire into all this. Everybody knows the kind of complicity which we have seen of Madhvi Butch along with Gautam Adani. But my question to you is, I'm sure, what is going to be Adani's next step after Hindenburg has brought the curtains down on its operations? What are you expecting? What could Adani do actually?
For Adani, it is business as usual. He will try to cover up all the past notices and the court prosecutions that have been going on. He will try to bid for more projects. He will try to shore up his prices by whatever means it can be, because SEBI will look the other way. So for him, nothing has changed, and neither has anything changed for Nathan and Hidenburg, except that he has
Does this
decided
does this
to get out
incident
of the rat race.
No, but does this incident, this closing down of operations of Hindenburg, does it give a clean chit to Adani in any way as far as his projects in Bangladesh are concerned, or Switzerland is concerned, or for that matter in Kenya or Bangladesh? Does it give a clean chit to Adani and then subsequently Modi as well?
See, these are all sovereign entities. So, as far as they are concerned, no clean sheet can be given by Hindenburg or Nathan Anderson. So, to that, they are operating in different areas, different fields, different geographies. So, they do not complement each other at all in any way. He only connected the dots, things which were in public domain, and he brought it to the open. The only good revelation he made through some whistleblower, though himself was a whistleblower, was the shenanigans of the SEBI chairman, Madhvi Butch, that she had invested her money in Adani, in Gautam Adani's companies abroad, that she had two more companies which were operational. Her husband was getting millions of dollars from Indian corporates, and they had given properties of their on rent to people, to companies or people, so promoters against whom there were cases and were being adjudicated. And the fact that she had never recused herself from anything, and the fact that she refused to appear before the parliamentary committee. So all these have nothing to do with Adani, but the one revelation he made, that he gave it back to Madhvi Butch for giving him a notice on short selling, on which she had no jurisdiction and no business. It was a high-handedness, just as they do so in the Indian economy and Indian market, that whoever they want, this IT, ED and all that, she tried that with him, and she was
Right.
appropriately given an answer.
Absolutely.
And at the end of the day, these are stressful things to do. There comes a time where you say, enough is enough. Let me take my bag of seeds and go and do farming in the fields, just as
Absolutely.
Garibaldi did in Italy. And there are any such instances in India where people are retiring at the age of 40 after having made their money. They find no need to continue in this rat race and do their own thing. So that's what he has done.
My last question to you is that does this closing down of operations of the Hindenburg research investment firm, does it leave Modi and Adani helpless? Because NDTV, when it was brazenly reporting against the Modi government, it was bought over by Adani. But Hindenburg could not be bought over by Modi and Adani. Does this incident really leave them helpless?
No. You see, NDTV could be bought because the majority shares were not with the promoter. They were with Reliance.
Right.
So what he did was he picked up the shares from Reliance. Reliance could not be that vindictive. They are old, they are second generation millionaires. So they know, where to give defamation notice, where not to sell companies. Though they had an investment, they kept quiet. But when Adani came calling, they gave him the shares. Based on that, he made an open offer, exaggerated offer, and now had the majority shares. Whereas in case of Hindenburg, he could no way get a share of Hindenburg and take over that company. That was very closely held. So there was a difference between the two. Adani can buy in India whatever it wants to buy, but only in India, nowhere else, because
Right.
people are not for sale. The institutions work. Institutions will not remain silent. You cannot use institutions to buy a company like they did in the case of Bombay Airport. He wanted that asset, and it used to happen during Jayalalitha's time.
Absolutely.
Anything she identified, she used to buy. So
Right.
that's a model of power, which they have implemented.
Right. And I'm just appealing to the viewers of the Public Global, those who of you have not read Nate Anderson's note, which he has written to his family and the friends. It's a very, very emotional note with a lot of learning lessons for life as well. So I would request all the viewers to go to the Twitter, which is now, of course, called X. Please read that note. You will be left teary eyed, I'm sure. Especially when he lists out the reasons as to why he has to disband a research organization like Hindenburg. I'll have to thank Mr. Agarwal. Thank you so much, sir, for joining on the Public Global. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.